안녕하세요.
Good morning,
안녕하세요.
everyone.
저는 사토리우스
I'm from
코리아에서
Sartorius,
바이오
Korea.
원형
My name is
테스트
Park Hyun-jun.
분석하고 있는
I'm a field
박현준이라고
application
합니다.
scientist
귀한 시간을
for the
내주셔서
cytometry. Thank you
애플리케이션
very much for
감사드리고요.
coming early in the morning
오늘 제가
and
발표드릴
taking your
내용은
precious time.
항체 개발
So what
연구에
I would
있어서
like to give you
바이오사토리우스가
today is
제공하는
about
플랫폼
our
하이스루트
platform,
플로우
high
사이토메트리
throughput
iQue3를 활용한
cytometry
다양한
using
워크플로우에서 이용 방법에
iQue3
대해서
advanced
설명드리고자
flow
합니다.
platform. So I'm going to give you various
발표에
applications
앞서서
that you can
사토리우스에
use
대해서
using
잠시
our system.
설명을
So let me
드리자면
now go over what
150년대
our
우리
company
회사로서
is like.
창업자인
We have
사토리우스라는
150
분이
years of
세우신
history,
회사입니다.
and that was established
많이들
by Mr.
아시지만
Previous
사토리우스는
Sartorius.
거울과
As you know
필터를
well,
합작해서
Sartorius is a company that started
시작을
with a
했고요.
short beam analytical
특별히
balance.
필터 관련해서는
And regarding
노벨상을
the
수여한 이력도
filtration, it
있습니다.
also acquired a
현재는 글로벌
Nobel
회사로서
laureate.
다양한
And
분야에서
also in various fields
제약 분야를
nowadays, we are
공부하는
working on the
솔루션을 제공하는
pharmaceutical
곳으로서
areas
성장을
with
계속하고
solutions.
있습니다.
And so we keep growing as a company.
저희 사토리우스는 토탈 솔루션
And
프로바이더로서
Sartorius is a total
업스트림에서
solution
다운스트림까지
provider.
전
From
영역에
upstream to
대해서 저희가
downstream,
솔루션을
we cover
제공하고자 노력을 하고
various
있습니다.
aspects of
슬라이드에서
biotechnology
보시는 것
with our
같이 렉
solutions.
프로덕트
As you
또는
see
세포
from the
분석
slide
장비부터
here,
랩에서
from lab
사용하신 모든
productions and
장비
also
또는
the service
부품,
divisions, we are
소품부터
working on the
공정에 들어가는
consumables and
프로세싱에
equipment, as
들어가는
well
대안기를
as
포함한
the culture
대부분의
for the
장비 또한
processes
저희가
and
제공을 하고
the
있습니다.
equipment.
그렇기
So
때문에
we are
저희는
provider
업스트림에서
of
다운스트림까지 토탈 솔루션
many
프로바이더로서
solutions as well
현재도
as the
국내외로도
equipment. So
활발하게
we're a total
진행하고
solution
있습니다.
company for the lab.
개발에 있어서 가장
When it
걱정이
comes
되는
to
부분은
development,
아무래도
what worries
기간과
you the most?
소요되는
Probably the
소모되는
time
자금일
taken
겁니다.
and the money
여기 계신 많은
needed.
분들이
So as
실제로
many of you are
업계에서
actually in
일하시는
the
분들인데
experts in the
드럭
field,
스크리닝
I
초기
believe that
단계에서부터 마지막
your
임상 그리고
concern is about
최종적으로
the process
승인을
starting
받기까지
from the cell
슬라이딩은 한 10년,
discovery
15년
and
길게는
until
더
the
이상을
drug
갈지도 슬라이딩이
approval. It will
걸릴
take
수가 있고요.
about 10 to 15
그리고
years
그 임상까지 가는
to
단계에서도 사실은 이제 많은
have that
신약들이 또 출시되고
development.
탈락을 하게 됩니다.
In the meantime,
또한
of
소요되는
course, there are
자금
so
또한 사실 억
many
단위가
dropped
아니라
out of
더
the
많은
systems. And also
임상에서
after that,
지나갈수록 더
now is
많은
the
자금이
phase
필요로 하게
of
되는데요.
the clinical
그렇기
trials are
때문에 이제
going
많은 분들의
forward. You
고민은
need
어떻게
more
하면
money and more
효율적으로
energy.
자금을 돈을
So
덜
what
쓰고
worries you
어떻게
the
하면
most
조금 더
is how you
빠르게
can
이
optimize your
각
investment
기업에서
of
목표하는
money
바를
and
이루고자
effort
많은
in order
노력들을
to
하고
achieve
계십니다.
your goals.
그렇기 때문에 이제 어떻게 보면
That is
생산성
why we
이거를
believe
어떻게
that the
하면 이제
productivity is the
적은
most
돈으로 더 빠르게
important
더
factor.
좋은
So you have
결과들을 내기
to
위한
be
노력들을 이제
efficient
각
in the use of
기업에서
money
하고
and
계십니다.
effort. And that's
오늘 제가
what
이
the
자리에서
companies are
설명드리고자 하는
really
내용은 그런
interested in.
부분들을 좀
And
고민들을 해소시켜
today's
드리고자
presentation of
이제 발표를
mine
하게
is
되었는데요. 특별히
to clear
사토리우스가
your
제공하는 좀 진보적인
concerns
플로우
in
사이토메트리
these
플랫폼인
areas.
iQue3를
The
활용하고 있다면
iQue3, the advanced
여기서
high
그런
throughput
고민들, 특히
platform,
항체
can be
개발하는 데
used by
있어서
you in
많은
order
부분을
to
저희가
have
도움을 드릴
the
수 있을 것 같습니다.
concerns cleared in many
장비에 대한
ways for
소개를 잠깐
your
이제
lab
해드리자면 저희는
activities.
플레이트
So this is
기반의
the
유세포 분석
introduction of our
장비로서
system. We
이번에
are
배지 타입
based on the
T5 타입이 아니라
platform. It's not the
96일
batch
또는
or cube
384를
type.
기반으로 한
We are based
분석
on the
장비입니다.
384, well,
특징으로는 이제
to have the
자동화,
analytics.
하이스루프트한
And also we have the
그러니까
automated
오토메이션이라는
system. It
장점을
has
가지고
high
있고요.
through,put and it's
근데
automated.
샘플 같은 경우에는
Also in
최소
case of
1마이크로미터의
samples, we
샘플만
have
있어도 셀
the
수하자면 한 1000개
cell
이상의 셀만
through,
있어도
and
분석이
also we have
가능합니다.
only the
그렇기
requirement
때문에
of 1
보통 이제
microgram of
전임상
the
단계에서
cell,
넘어가실 때
so we can have only
오프라인
1,000 cells to
아무튼
start
그
with.
얻기
So
어려운
you can
셀들이
have the
소량 셀만
cells in
있어도
very small
적은 샘플을
quantity
사용해서
that
다양한
can
실험들을 하실 수
initiate
있다는
your lab
장점이고요.
activities.
또한 거기에 따른 어떤
Also,
소모되는
in line
시약들
with that,
또한
reagents
것도
needed and
함께
many other
절약하실
consumables
수가
can be
있습니다.
saved as much
저희
as
장비는
possible.
자동화이기
Our
때문에
system is automated,
특수도와
as
또
I
편리성이
said,
있는데요.
so we have the
96일
speed
기준으로
and the
하면은 약 한
convenience.
10분 내외로
And it will
분석이
take about
가능합니다.
10 minutes
그렇기
or
때문에
so for
연구자가
the 9
자동화 시스템을
nanometers.
활용해서
And
이제
that's
그 클릭 한 번이면
re-
이제
allows
분석을 시작을
the
하고 마지막
researchers
그
to start
클리닝까지 완벽하게
the
자동화로 진행을 하고 있습니다.
testing and they can finish the cleaning at the last minute
이것이 가능하게 하는 거는
completely.
저희가 특허를
This is
받은 이
enabled by
샘플링
our
기술을
patented
가지고 있는데요.
sampling
에어갭 시스템을
technology.
통해서
Through
웰이
this
옆으로 넘어갈
system, we have the
때마다
well system and
에어갭
also we
샘플과
have the
샘플
air
사이에
gap
공기를
separated
넣어서
samples
각 웰을
with the
아이덴티피케이션 할 수 있는
continuous
기술을 가지고
stream.
있고요.
So we have the
또한 중간에 이제
technology
플레이트
to
쉐이퍼, 쉐이핑
identify the
기능과 또
different
중간중간
sectors.
클리닝
Also,
기능을
we
사용을
have the
한다면
shaping and
좀
pullover
그
functions. From time
유저는
to
이제
time, so that the users can have the system running while working on other actions at the same time. We do have dynamic range detector, which is very wide. In the past, we only had the four high and low peak that cannot be seen at the same time. But we have continuous systems, so you can detect the system continuously. Also, we're using the fixed PMT system. It doesn't require to have a preparation time for the PMT fixing. Therefore, the other researchers can have the same result, although they're working on the different experiments. In our analytic systems, we do also provide you our advantages. So you can have the analysis of various big volume to areas so that you can have the big systems. So the flow map and heat map and optic gates are available for you. You can have the easy analytics of the big volume system. I will show you later the big data later in my other slides, but this is enabling you to have the speed up system for your decision making. When it comes to software, in the previous the cytometry analytic systems, you were using third-party systems, not yours own, and you have to have the data transport and you have to have the interpretation. So it requires 2 or 3 steps until the final stage. But we have Foresight as our product. So in that software, you can work on these things at one time. So you will see the graphs later, and these graphs do not have to be worked on Excel or other programs. They are automatically giving you the result. So cytometry system we have is aiming at solving your problems like the time, energy that I described so far with our systems and equipment. So what you can do is the antigen screening. You don't have to spend such a long time, like 1 week. So from starting of the screening to the functional systems, our system will help you finish your job as quickly as possible. And this is the workflow. We have 3 stages of the workflow. The first one is the screening of the antibodies. We do have a lot of ways to do this antibody screening. If you purchase other systems, you have the positive or retaining systems. But anyway, the library you will get is not small, starting from 10,000 to 100,000. So regular ways you are doing is mostly based on ELISA, but ELISA can be covered by our system as well. And also, when we have the candidates, drug candidates using the antibodies, you have to check the toxicity or check if the performance you require is relevant or not using the screening. Now, for this library screening, as I said, there are many ways of doing the screening. For example, the antibody, when you have the multiple clones, you get the result and you check it with the ELISA. That's one way. Or you can purify the antibodies in the library, and you have the expression of the cell lines in many ways. So you produce these cell line results. But whatever you're using, the number of the cell lines that you have to analyze is huge and tremendous. For example, if ELISA is 837, you have the 5 targets. And if you run the ELISA, if you compare this way, you can have the 96 to 120 days. But the number is not that important. What you have to think is that the researchers should have this as a manual. So it will require a lot of other additional workloads and jobs. But if you use our systems, you don't have to work on these clones. We have the 3 3,600 or 4,000 cell lines, but you don't have to use the big number of antigens. It will require you only 1 day to finish this. Now, let me give you one example. The first one is the stable cell line production for the antibody. You have the antibody virus or so many other ways in making that cell line. Then you do the cell line, and then if it is about this single clone, as you see from the slide here, you have the reading out from the plate after finishing this workflow. As you see from the slide, we have 5 plates, and this is 384, and you have the one quick look at all these 5 plates. Now you can look at the required antigen if they have the good expression of these wanted cell lines. The second one is profiled cell line. You have a lot of the number of the cell lines, and also you see the expression of the antibody in here, whether that has been expressed as you wanted. Then you can see the display of the result. So therefore, I told you about the 5 plates, but you can have 10 to 20 plates as well to read all at the same time. Then if you work on other cell lines, you can find your clones very easily and quickly in just one slide and plate. So you have the cell number, and you can have the conditions set. For example, the bigger number of cell lines, then you can choose the result later on. Now the next one is after the antigen work, you have to have the hybrid valuation. So antigen is immunized on the system, and you have to compare before and after this immunization. So at the top, this is the comparison before and after the immunization. In each process, you have the positive design and negative design you made. And also from the cell lines, from the 3 cell lines I talked about, you have the different dyeing mechanisms here. So the dyed antigens will be compared here to see how much binding has been made onto these plates. So we have 9 plates here, but the 3 of them are coming from one well with the result. As you see here, we have the pre and post. We have the control cells. Then in the negative cells, they are found in some of the other plates, but if you have the hybrid serum, the more positive results can be found, as you see in the plates in the middle. As described in the previous data, as I said earlier, this is the results taken from 36 mice. And out of this outcome, you select the mice that have the biggest expression, then you're able to find the single cell line. So the experiments have been underway in the same way as before. Now you have comparison with the target antigen. In one cell line, you have the expression of the cell lines that you can see. As mentioned earlier, you can use the heat map to find out the antigen trials that you did before. For example, against the control cells, if you have the negative cells, binding is not happening. And in the target antigen only, you can have the binding as a profile. You have that condition preset beforehand. Then later on, you were able to confirm the result. So as you see here, mouse number 2 has the candidate that has the biggest number of these antigens. So I talked about the high screening system only, but there are other ways of finding the screenings of these antigens as before. The most typical 2 things are as follows, as we propose. One way is to have the encoding cells. These cells are encoded in the encoding dye separately. We've put 4 or 5 cell lines at the same time to find which cell lines are for our antigens. And also reversely, you have the conjugation of the cell lines into beads, so up to 20 to 30 each, and then the binding is made to see whether some of these are bound to the other antigens in the system. So I told you that our systems are doing parallel things. You can work on the several bees on one plate, and we have 9 plates, so the 9 possibilities can be analyzed simultaneously. Lastly, we also have a very special function. This is a mapping system. As differently from the previous experiments, we have the data from another experiment, but we have some kind of fluorescent value or the intensity of the antigenicity. We can find all these features in ranking from starting number 1 to 9 of the samples, and we can find which is the strongest reaction to pick. Next one, I would like to talk about the stage after screening, and that is the functionalization. As you are working on it, I know that you are working on the antibody so much that you have a lot of anticipations on the activations or activities of the antibodies. ADCP and ADCI are most popular nowadays in your practices. What we can propose you in this process is that we have phenotyping or the antibody T cell reacting ones or immunophenotypes as well. So second one is the target cells or on the effector cells. You can see the diversity of it. The third one is to see the changes of the immune system like cytokine. In the traditional system, you had to have these 3 ways separately or consecutively taking 3 times or more of the time and money. But as I said, we can analyze the cells and bees at the same time in one plate. Therefore, we can check the cell viability in one place at the same time. Let me give you an example. So one of the kits we are providing you is the ADCC kit that can analyze the NK cell killing. So what is included in the plate is the system with the markers of antibodies or when interference or enzymes that you can see when the NK cells are activated. And also we have reagents for the vibration. They're all included in one kit. So cell viability can be checked here. The sampling is quite simple as well. For the target cells or effector cells, they can be added onto this, and the researchers can do the same way of doing this using the cocktails that we provide you, so you can react it 1 or 2 hours before working on the next step. It will take 3 to 4 hours all together. Now you can get the data as a result. So this is the reading out from flow cytometer FC. You can see the bees and cells at the same time, so you can go to the cell side to look at more the quantitation of it, and also you can go to the bees to have its own quantitative or qualitative processings. The cells can be divided into these target cells and effector cells. And the targets and effectors can be checked whether they have died or alive. Now in the NK cells, you can see the activation state as well. So the markers are also provided with you in one plate. So our system is quite convenient because in one plate, we have everything included for you. Therefore, the users, after doing the injection on the samples, do not have to recreate any plots for the analysis. You can use the templates we are providing directly. So after the template, after 5 to 10 minutes, you can also see the result of the analysis immediately after. So this is the real data as a result of our experiment. So this is the control, the positive control antibody. So you might not be able to see this because the screen is quite complicated. But if you see here, we have the two antibodies that we worked on. So we have donors, and per donor, we have the confirmation of it. In the first antibody, ADCC, is happening more than the other one. And also in the graph, you can check and confirm that there is a difference between the two. But at the bottom, it talks about the population percentage of the NK cells expressed. And the EC50 value is also out here. It means that the software calculates the EC50 simultaneously and automatically at the same time. So from two plates, you can get this much data. That is the advantage of our system. The other one you're looking at very often is ADCP. So we are also providing you in our kit. So this is immunophenotyping system that you can work on. And also template is also provided with you that comes with our system. So ADCP percentage can be automatically calculated. So please look at the data here. This is how to antibodies, and the heat map shows you how well they are distributed, and also you can see the values as well. On the right side, you can see the graphs according to the concentration. So in the software, you can create this graph on your own directly. I have described you about the functional assay using NK cells. But other than the NK cells, you might not be able to see the white lines here. We do have the T cell activation as well, and T cell memory set kit, the T cell killing kit. They're all available to you. But today, my talk is confined to the antibody only. But for the cell treatment, we do have other equipments that we can provide you, and there are many more kits that are available in our systems. I hope you can get the good result of your experiments and daily work. And this is my conclusion. If you use iQue3 we have in your research and development, you will be able to enjoy the advantages that we provide you with the speed and the time, and you can be more productive and efficient. And also our software provides you a lot of functionalities that I described so far. It means that the simultaneous workload can be made and your decision making can be very quick in your daily processes, and you can move on to the next step without delay. The iQue3 that I provide you today is different from the traditional ones you use. It's more evolutionized. It has a higher throughput, and it can provide you more opportunities to work better and more efficiently in the future. And this has been my presentation. Before closing, I'd like to also give you the introduction of other equipment than FC. We have InQSite. On the left side, we're also selling this. And also for the companies working on the antibodies, now Octet is quite well known for the measurement, IgG or various other protein quantification, and also you can work on other high throughput systems. So we have 3 items in our portfolio. So if you are using all these 3 items together in one set, you will enjoy your life in your lab. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions now. Or if you have questions privately, please come to our booth. We have Sartorius booth, the exhibition. You can also email me, or you can come to me directly if you have my business card. Thank you very much for your precious time.